We are live. You are live, it says the screen. Good morning. Haiti Oropesa with Florida You Judge, and I am joined this morning with Getulio Gonzalez Military, an up and coming young man who is I admire him very much. I've taken him a little bit under my wing. It's a small little wing. He's much bigger than my little wing, but Gretchen Cawthorn, who's an attorney here in the Tampa Bay area. We're going to be joined shortly also by Candice um, Colucci Rojas. She's another a lawyer, and Life Malcolm is. I spoke to him this morning. He's gonna be running a couple of minutes late, but we're gonna get started uh, shortly. We're still waiting on Candice to come on. We're gonna talk about the recent headlines that came out at the end of March, I believe it is, and I have my some of my articles here ready. It was in I want to be real as detailed as I can be with timelines, but I believe it was sometime in March that the headlines started coming out. Orlando leaves leadership role. Let's see, Orlando steps down. That's March 31st of 2022. So it's safe to say that um, the news headlines began to come out March of this year, mid, late, and about that there was sexual harassment that his former legislative aide claimed occurred. So there's a private chat here. Let's see here. Okay. I don't know what that is, Getulio, what you just sent me, but let's just take a couple of minutes. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to go over the 349 page report, not in its entirety. We're going to focus in on areas, portions of it. We've done our best to read that ginormous report. And so we're going to be conversing amongst ourselves about whether this is these are credible allegations, or if it's something there's the perspective that Jane Castor's administration may have had a hand in coercing this legislative aide, former legislative aide to Orlando Gudes, current city councilman Orlando Gudes. Maybe she was coerced into uh, making or renewing or going along with this train of he did all of these things that a law firm that they hired to investigate says that occurred. Um, Candice should be coming on shortly, and we are going to take call-ins today. So I'm on top of my technological A game today. Getulio, am I correct on that? You're muted. You're unmute yourself.
Yeah,
You guys
everything
can
should be
unmute yourself.
working
How's
fine.
my technological game this morning?
Definitely, definitely stepped it up, Haiti.
Yes.
So
Everything
yeah,
appears to be working correctly.
okay. I can hear everyone great, and it's gonna be a fun broadcast. I believe we're gonna try to limit it to an hour because I think we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Yes, Gretchen. Yes. So we're waiting on Candice and Life. I am going to. We're just gonna give them a couple of minutes, and I'm going to play an instrumental tune that Getulio and I agree is a good track. It's gonna be a really, really good broadcast this morning. Really, we came prepared. We've read through a whole 349-page report, going over everything in regards to recent allegations against Orlando Gudes, a Tampa City councilman who was elected 2019, was sworn into office May, I believe, of 2019. He's currently been serving the public since that time, and so we have seen recent headlines mid-March, end of March of this year, saying that alleging or based on allegations that his former legislative aide made. That it's an allegation. There was an investigation that occurred after the city of Tampa hired a quote unquote independent firm to investigate these allegations. So we're going to go over everything. We're going to go over facts, not opinion. We're not going to go over opinion because it's facts that matter, not opinions. And there is such a thing called due process in this country. We should all individually operate in a manner where we afford everyone due process, because there are false allegations sometimes, or persons with agendas, political agendas, that they might want to target someone. And Mona Judge Johnson, good morning, Mona. I'm glad that you're tuning in. Always good to see you and hear from you. Good morning. So we're waiting for Candace and Life. We may just have to shortly get started. It's 11:04 a.m. This is going to be a good broadcast. In a lawsuit, the first to speak seems right until someone comes forward and cross-examines. Due process, folks. You got to hear both sides, and you got to search for truth and for facts, truthful facts so that you can make a proper judgment, a fair judgment, and not get on board with someone that might be people, groups, persons might wish to railroad. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Candace is a little late. It's 11:05. Hopefully Life will jump on soon. We have two great persons already here with us. Gretchen Cawthorn, again, unmute yourself, Gretchen. She's an attorney here in the Tampa Bay area, a force to be reckoned with for sure. She's a fighter, doesn't back down. And Getulio, unmute yourself, please, sir. You are muted. Also up and coming, very smart, and I'm very proud of you, sir, and you're going places for sure. Let's talk about this issue. Gretchen, you've read through the 349-page report.
Yes.
Give me your initial thoughts on this.
Initial thoughts, it's a lot of he said, she said. I will say that a lot of the allegations, if they're true, it's not good for a city councilman to be behaving in that manner. But again, he seems to deny most of it. So
right,
really, it goes back and forth as to what could be proven. But I mean, none of the behaviors, if he did any of what he's accused of doing, it's all inappropriate behavior. But there seems to be so much mud in the investigation to try and comb through to figure out what actually happened, because the entire investigation was muddied up with the way the city did it. Yeah, it's
all right. Let's do this. It's gonna be a lot, but I think it's important because I don't want to speak about what the facts are. I want to go through the actual report. Let's do that. Okay, let's go ahead, and I want to start off with let's do a timeline. Okay, these are facts, not my opinion. Gretchen's opinion, Getulio. Call in, please. The call-in line. I want the community involved. This is something we all live here. We live in the Tampa Bay area, particularly for those who live in Tampa. This should concern you. You should want to know what happened. Okay, there's a councilman, Orlando Gudes, who's being accused of sexual harassment and hostile work environment. We need to know whether that's true or not. Like Gretchen just said, it seems to be she said, he said. And so, Gretchen, I'm going to ask you, I'm an attorney. So are you. What happens typically? We do criminal defense. I don't know what legal standard would be put. This is the court of public opinion is what it is. Okay. We have the city of Tampa, the administration. I'm going to say Jane Castor's administration. It seems to be at odds with Orlando now. Okay. They're saying she said early on, let me go ahead and get this. Is this one? No, that's not this. Okay, it's this one. Let's go ahead and I'm going to share this. I'm going to share. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the viewers can see this. I'm going to try to go as fast as I can because there's a lot of stuff to go over. So we have Luis Vieira. We have Luis Vieira and Life is Come On. Good morning, Life. Malcolm. He's also an attorney here in the Tampa Bay area. He probably takes cases in other. I don't know exactly in the areas that he takes. The counties, maybe the whole state, but we'll let him address that. He's trying to come on now, but so on the heels of these allegations that came out, Tampa, Luis Vieira, who's a city councilman, Joseph Citro, another city councilman, and Jane Castor, all are calling for his resignation and for him to step down just immediately after the headlines come out. We're going to see if that was something prudent on their part and if they're giving due process its place and waiting to make a judgment on whether somebody did something or not. I'm going to stop that share for a moment. But let's go ahead and I want to go through the timeline. Let's start October 26th of 2020. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to share. We're adding Candace there. Hi, Candace.
Hello.
How are you? And she's another.
I'm doing good.
I don't know that this would be appropriate to say that you're a badass. Is that too?
Oh,
if I said
totally
that in the workplace, would that be bad? Would that be bad?
Absolutely appropriate.
You're
It's
a badass.
appropriate.
So
Absolutely. Thank you.
I was saying I don't know what the legal standard is in the court of public opinion because it appears to be a city administration, Jane Castor against the city councilman. What should the standard be? We know as lawyers, Candace is familiar with criminal defense, that when we go into defend a case and it's one person's word against another person, what typically happens when there's nothing else other than one person saying something yes and the other one saying something no? What happens there, Candace?
Meaning,
and what do the instructions say when sometimes when there's a conflict in interest? That could be reasonable doubt. Yes.
Yeah. So it would be, if it's criminal, it would be beyond a reasonable doubt. And then the idea comes down to credibility. So you're going to look at, you have two words against each other and that's all you have. You have no other evidence. Then it's going to come down to anything that would have impeached their credibility.
Okay. Right? Gretchen would agree with that. Okay. So let's go over. I've gone over the 349 page report. So have you all. And I want to be orderly and chronological here just to hear both sides. Okay. Let me see if I don't see Life yet. Let's go ahead. And I want to start with 2020. October 26th of 2020. I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm going to share that. Okay. We're going to go first to, you guys can see that.
What page is that of the
I'm going to give you the pages because I'm going to go ahead. I went ahead and I did this. So we have, let's go here. This is October 26, 2020. The redaction, the black marker, is the legislative aid. Okay. We're going to talk about that later. Somebody remind me whether the administration committed a misdemeanor by basically having identifiers, the legislative aid. I think that can be easily discovered who that is. And therefore, boom, she's out. whoever it is making the allegations. We'll talk about that at the end. Getulio, remind me. She says this is her email to HR. I will not be able to meet today. Sorry for the last minute notice. We can reschedule for another time when I'm ready. Thank you for understanding. Okay. Let me see if Life is there yet. No, he's not. Okay. That's page 68. That's page. Now let's go to page 66. 66. This is her again, or from Kelly Austin, the HR person. I'm sorry you are unable to meet today. This is again 2020 allegations at that time against Orlando Gudes from the legislative aid. Let's go to page 26. I apologize. This is sent November 16th of 2020, a month later. Okay. From the legislative. I apologize. I did not call you on Friday. It was very hectic. Okay. So these are my thoughts. And if you guys have any thoughts, we'll stop right here. This is a person who is alleging hostile work environment or being treated harshly. We're going to see as we go through this that the current allegations stem from this time period and before this time period. My thoughts are why there seems she keeps delaying meeting with HR about this. Is that strange to you, Candace? No, maybe.
I mean, I wouldn't want to put anything more than, I mean, she's defining exactly why she's saying it's hectic days and all of this stuff. I mean, I'd hate to say, that it's unlike someone who's got allegations to have other things in their life that may make it difficult for them to get to an appointment or a meeting. So I wouldn't.
But there was no sense of urgency. Yes.
Yeah, I'd say.
Because if there's a sense of urgency as to your job and something serious that you're undergoing, you would think that you try to prioritize maybe to get to. It's your bread and butter. It's your job. But okay, you're right. There. So let's go to page 57. Let's go to page 57. This is November 16th. And so they made a call to her because she asked them to call her. Okay. This says that he said he didn't want me to go. And if something bothers me to say something. So this is Kelly Austin, feel adequate closure, ? After the conversation, I thought I wish I would have said this or that. I felt that way, but not worth going back and addressing again. Leave it be. Option, if a problem again, to come to you. Okay. All right. That's her call, conversing with HR, Kelly Austin, Kimberly Sullivan. And so now we have page 58. Wait, that's the bill for the city for this investigation, which is close to $100,000. Here we have November 16th, Kelly Austin, HR, saying that during this meeting, related interaction with her supervisor that caused her discomfort. After recounting her concerns to human resources and receiving coaching on the matter, she agreed to speak to her supervisor about her concerns. On November 16th, 2020, reported that she spoke to her supervisor on November 12th, 2020. She believes the advice she received from human resources was very helpful, and she now considers the matter closed. It is closed now. She then sends an email, or no, this is from, well, actually, yeah, we're seeing it's a thread, a little thread. The legislative aid, Monday, January 11th, 2021. After this closeout of those allegations in 2020, thank you for your help. I admire you both, and you are great mentors for women. So now
we're seeing that the alleged victim is saying that she considers the matter to be closed.
That's right. See, because after they spoke with her, and let's go back, facts, folks, not opinion and not headlines or what governmental leaders who might have an agenda are saying,
and
but
the relationship with the media.
We have City of Tampa saying after they spoke on November 16, 2020, that's the legislative aid, it redacted, reported that she spoke to her supervisor on November 12th, meaning Orlando Gudes. She believes the advice she received from Human Resources was very helpful, and she now considers the matter closed. It's closed. That's it. It's over. But here she's telling me, hey,
I guess I have an interesting, even that sentence that was before that said, and she received coaching on the matter.
Interesting. What do you think about that? Talk about that, Candace.
I mean, I've dealt with sexual harassment complaints and lawsuits, and I've never heard of the word coaching being used in a matter of like from Human Resources, but I guess maybe giving her advice on how to handle the situation. Maybe that's what they were trying to do, and then that maybe justifies her next statement of saying, I utilized that, and now whatever that coaching she had gotten from them, she felt that the matter now is kind of closed. So, so that's interesting to hear.
Okay, but you know what? You're being fair in your assessment. You're at least that's fairness when you say it could be something bad, but it could be something not bad. It could just mean they're coaching you to handle the matter.
Yeah.
But here's what's interesting. She now considers them to be mentors to her.
Yeah.
Okay. These are people that I'm thinking were also involved, we'll see soon, with dealing with now more recently in the 2021 allegations that now are part of headlines and allegations, pending allegations. Okay. So just so that everyone knows that is watching, that wants to know the truth, that's 2020. Allegations that the complainant said, we're good to go. Don't do nothing. I'm good. Thank you very much. Okay.
I've been coached how to handle the situation. I put those into play, and therefore I feel better about the situation. And I feel like I don't need to go any further. Thank you for your help. She sees them as mentors, which is fantastic. So whatever it is, they've given her tools that she feels like she's capable to go forward without it going any further.
Okay. And this is very conversational. So Gretchen, Getulio, please feel free to jump in. I'm not going to even ask questions. I want facts to come out. That's what I want. And I want truth. We all should want that. Okay. That's what we should all want, the community. Let's go to page 55 of the 349-page report, which initially the city didn't release. They just released the report, a 60-page report of a firm, Trenum Law, that they hired at taxpayer expense, $100,000. $100,000. I don't believe that they're independent. I don't. So, and neither does Orlando Gudes' attorney, Ryan. Barrett. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I don't. Now they're both at opposing sides. But Eric is saying, who's an employment lawyer. He deals with matters of sexual harassment, hostile work environment. He's saying everything you guys alleged, even the bad stuff, doesn't rise to sexual harassment or hostile work environment based on the law. So let's go to page 55. What does it say? What are the notes that HR's taking says? First instance, confirm at the bottom, page 55 of the 349-page report. If anybody from the public wishes to get a copy of this report, I'm happy to email it to you. So please go ahead. Hold on. The public should know. We want transparency. John Bigenfelder apparently also was the target of attack and had to resign his position. That goes to our democracy, people. Elections are important. People died for people to have the ability to choose their representatives. And now he was chosen, and now he's out because of a public records thing, which then they made him sign an agreement that as a part of a settlement that he cannot talk about what exactly he did right or wrong. But I want whoever wants a copy of this 349-page report, you can go ahead and email me, oropesadefense@gmail.com. I'm happy to send you a copy of that report. Okay, so it says at the bottom, she did not want to file a complaint in 2020 and wants all to remain confidential.
Right.
That's November the 2020 allegation. So everybody that's watching and that will watch, make a timeline. This is important. Let's go to somebody that hasn't been heard of much in the media in as has Castor's administration and the report of the law firm that they hired. Let's go ahead and see what Orlando says. Orlando Gudes did speak, and it's interesting to note that he was very cooperative and met in person with the lawyers that were hired by the city. He's disagreeing with the entirety of the findings in the report regarding my former legislative aide. I do accept responsibility for comments that I made that, while not sexual harassment, were not appropriate for the workplace. I made the mistake of hiring a friend and not establishing new boundaries for the relationship because the dynamic had changed. Let's talk about that. Candace, Gretchen, let's talk about that. Is that an issue where, according to his attorney's letter, which we're going to go over, when he's responding to all the allegations, and we're going to go over all the allegations, he's saying they were friends. They'd hang out for years. He'd hang out with her boyfriend. There was a circle of friends for years, hung out before she actually became an employee working with Orlando Gudes as her boss. Is that an issue where you joke, even say off-color jokes, or just jokes that maybe not appropriate for the workplace, but nonetheless, that's how they rolled. That's how they interacted. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, Haiti, I have some thoughts on this.
Okay.
They've had, according to the reports by Mr. Barack, they had known each other for 6 years. So that to me, it implies that it's a very well-established relationship. I know that with my friends, I do feel this level of comfort, especially in joking about certain matters. So it's once you see the response to the allegations, you start to see a pattern where Gudes is being accused of sexual harassment for things that do not constitute sexual harassment. And you see this over and over. So, and then I do later, I would like for you to share the screen, Haiti, because I do, to me, this clearly, from my perspective, clearly looks like somebody's out to get Councilman Gudes for whatever reason. I do have some context on that, but I can't really prove it. It's just my point of view as an activist.
Okay, but so this is what I'm trying to get at. And I'm going to say that this is me too. Do we sometimes speak with friends in ways that we would not do so in a work environment? Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. How is that a yes for you, Gretchen? I mean, am I the only one that does this?
Yes, definitely. And I think that if they had an established relationship as friends, once you change that dynamic to be an employer-employee, they really needed to take account of that and sit down and discuss friendship versus working together, because that can create a bad situation, as we see what appeared to happen here. He may not have been purposefully making inappropriate statements, but those statements that if he did make them, they weren't appropriate to say to someone who is your employee and you're the supervisor.
And listen, what if it was appropriate back then for them to talk about it, but now she's hanging her hat like, you shouldn't be talking to me like that, because she's annoyed that, and we'll see documents in this report where she's being chastised for not doing a good job.
Yes.
Yep.
So now
It
you're mad
seems
at
that
your friend.
Yes, there was a change in the relationship, is
Mhm.
what it appears from the documents.
So what
Yep.
I'm getting at, as conversations that were appropriate before, now I'm going to be mad at you about, because I'm mad at you that you're calling me out in things that I'm not doing or should be doing as an employee. Yes.
Right. She's using the change in relationship dynamics to protect herself for her inadequate. That's from what I've read in the documentation. That's what it looks like. She's covering her own inadequacies as an employee.
So
So
we're still on statement of Orlando Gudes. He said, let's go ahead and
But also remember, it could be that, but it also could just be the fact that there is an element when you have a relationship outside of an employee employer relationship and it changes to where now they are your boss, you look at them differently and you expect to be respected differently when you're in a workplace than when you're outside of a workplace. And so that line gets blurred sometimes just regularly, but it definitely gets blurred when there's a friendship prior and then you become now these work colleagues, but also if they become your boss. And so just naturally, sometimes that line becomes blurred and what was acceptable outside of the workplace is no longer acceptable because it may not just be his position, but it could also be who else is listening, who else hears about it, or you've been admonished the day before from this employer, and then now today they're still trying to say those same jokes that you have may have been acceptable before, but are no longer acceptable. So, I think Orlando did a good job just at least explaining that, saying I'm admitting that there was a relationship before and now have blurred that line, which I think is human nature sometimes when you have a relationship prior and then they become your employee.
even then,
so
I don't think the nature of his comments were it could be labeled as sexual harassment. But I do agree that the shift in power dynamics would have changed that relationship, even if neither party wanted to admit it from the get go.
Yeah. I guess we'll get into the actual comments later on, but yes,
right, exactly. We are.
Yep.
So we got good time, and I'm gonna try to go through this as quickly as I can so that we don't go over the 1 hour. He says at the end of his and that's page 30 of the 349 page report. Many of the accusations are false, and there are certain remarks that I have been accused of making that I have denied and must continue to categorically deny. However, I admit that some of the statements are true, though unfortunately taken out of context. So he's pretty much saying, he says, I considered her a longtime family friend and I regularly socialized with her boyfriend, and several other individuals, both before and during her employment. In addition, she and I worked closely as she was my legislative aide since my election. These circumstances led me to make jokes and comments that were not appropriate for the workplace, but would not be uncommon among old friends, which is what I considered us to be at the time. That could happen. I can see that happening. I could see you're a supervisor, Candace. I can see I've been. Listen, I can see that happening. I can see being friends with someone and then the dynamic changing in a professional setting, and you have to clearly set out the boundaries and say, look, we could speak all kinds of stuff outside the workplace or in this outside this context, but not now. Now we cannot. Right?
Well, you know what? But it's not even because I've been. I mean, I understand what they're saying as a business owner. Is that also gets really scary because it's not even just in the workplace. It can even be outside of the workplace that becomes affected of the workplace. So it's not just like inside the workplace. You have to be so careful of what you're even doing on the weekend. If you're with them on the weekend, if you're still this employer and they're the employee.
Okay,
Haiti, I
so
just want to bring to your attention that Life
yeah,
Malcolm
you
is
did.
in
I
the
saw your
chat.
text.
Yep,
Thank you for
okay.
sending that to me. And Life, if you're listening, please try to jump back on. I have been doing all these things all at once, and it's dizzying. So just bear with me, and jump back on. I have so many screens down here that I'm trying to regulate here. Let's do this now. So we're done with 2020. We're done. right? Let's go on now to 2021. Let's go to 2021. 162. This is from her. Okay. To the chief of staff of the city, John Bennett. This is March 31st, 2021. Good afternoon. Attaches a memorandum for your review sent on behalf of Council Member Orlando Gudes. Seems like everything's fine to me work-wise. Okay. I present that to establish that fact. And so look, here's what I've been trying to do, because it's he said, she said, but then I've been trying to ask myself this without knowing who's saying the truth and who's not. This is what I asked myself. Why would Jane Castor's, her administration want to target Orlando Gudes? Why would be the motivation? When the headline came out, I remember as soon as I saw it, I go, oh, he's being number 2 after John Bigenfelder because of the Mary O'Connor no vote. But when I saw that the investigation started last year, I thought that can't be, because, you know, his no vote came way after he's investigated and these allegations were reported, were conveyed to HR. So in my mind, I'm like, what could it be that they'd have an axe to grind with him?
I don't think it was just one thing personally. It just might be a collection of things that's happened. I mean, Gudes has been very vocal in opposition to most of city council, and keep in mind that most of the voting members who are at odds with the mayor's administration have been very vocal about housing and rent control and affordable housing, and like finding a solution to the housing crisis that's going on here in the city. And the councilmen who are backing the mayor's administration, they've pretty much jumped on board and have been attacking Gudes and supporting the allegations against him. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the city, and then of course the Mayor O'Connor confirmation plays into it as well, and that might have something to do with Gudes also being a police officer, and him and his relationship with Delgado and the Tampa Benevolent Association. So I see a lot of moving parts in this. I can't just say that Castor's administration is going after Gudes for one thing. It's just might be that he's not falling in line the way that they would like.
All right, now I want you all to in that vein, I want you to discuss, Gretchen, you can, like a lot, I imagine, with what is Jane Castor's history on her policies and the disparate effect of those policies? Gretchen.
As to city council?
No, just her
in general.
Her history, yes, as a former police chief.
Well, she was a police chief who orchestrated and created the Biking While Black program. And we've since been seeing, I believe Creative Loafing published earlier this week, documents that they received from Tampa Police Department during the Biking While Black, while the Department of Justice was investigating Tampa for racial discrimination. There were emails going back and forth, and Mary O'Connor was on some of the emails regarding stepping up bike stops in District 3, which is the majority Black and minority communities. So she had a hand in that. She also had a hand in oversaw the Renting While Black program, which TPD officers went and from what I've heard, working with the ACLU and investigating that Renting While Black program, TPD went to low-income housing and bullied them into joining this program, gave them, they'll give you extra funding, or they would go in and review your community, like the lighting, for safety and stuff like that. They would do this extra stuff if you join their program. But the only communities that were sought out to join that program were Tampa Housing Authority and low income. If I remember correctly, on the map of all the apartment complexes involved in that, only I think 2 were south of Kennedy, because those are the only 2 Tampa Housing Authority complexes in South Tampa. So none of the upper income apartment complexes or condo buildings were brought into the program. It was all only to harass low income people.
All right, so let's go ahead and allow Life Malcolm. It has joined. I can't. Oh, there he is. Hey,
There he is.
Life. I am so
Hey.
sorry. I couldn't see you because I had so many screens open. My bad.
Yeah, no
So
worries.
sorry.
No, I appreciate it. I apologize for being late.
Oh, don't you
travel.
worry, Life.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no. Can you
And
jump
some
on and,
technical-
and talk about Jane's history, Jane Castor's
Yeah.
history in the city? You
Well,
live there. I don't.
Oh, I'm not going to do exactly that, but I will say this. Jane Castor is a monster and a maniac, and she hates the African community. And some people say black, but I'm an African internationalist. I'm clear about the fact that I'm African, that all black, so-called black people, no matter where we are, no matter where white people dispersed us all around the world, we are African people, one nation. And Jane Castor has shown her disdain, obviously, in the attacks that Gretchen mentioned, such as the biking while black and the renting while black. But more than that, I mean, her hit squad at the Tampa Police Department straight up killed Arthur Green Jr. In the street and then covered it up. And there are documents that prove that, what happened to George Floyd in 2020 or 19, whatever it was.
2020.
Was it 2020? Yeah, thank you. Happened to Arthur Green Jr. Right here in the streets of Tampa in 2014. As a matter of fact, it might have been this month. And in 2014, April, yeah. And Jane Castor orchestrated it, and then orchestrated the cover up, would not release the video, etc. Jane Castor that's her history. She's been a bully to the African community. So Orlando Gudes, his rise to city council and even as city council chair, notwithstanding, is still an African. He's still a colonized person in the United States. And Jane Castor treats him with the same kind of disdain with which she treats all African people who do not attach their lips to her hind parts. And Orlando's just a victim of that.
Okay, so on that note, let's go on. I'm going to go back to the share here and go over. Let's see here. Wait, why isn't it sharing? Why am I not seeing? Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to go and do a full. Here we go. Here we go, folks. This is dated March 31st, 2021. Now, keep track of the timeline, because in a couple of months after March, come July, the legislative aide is going to become frustrated because she dropped the ball on a work duty. Okay.
Yep.
So there's no drama here, no controversy now. And we have a officer, the office of Councilmember Orlando Gudes. What is he asking for? He says, I'm writing this letter in response to the latest email I received from a potential candidate for the Tampa Fire Rescue Department. Over the past few years, I have received countless letters from individuals who have been excluded from employment due to the possible deception found on the polygraph test. The most recent was dated March 29th, 2021, and sent to all council members. I'm disturbed because this seems to be a trend amongst people of color applying for Tampa Fire Rescue and the Tampa Police Departments. I'd like to know the entire process of employment for the Tampa Police Department as well as Tampa Fire Rescue. I also would like to know how each part of the process is weighted, because it seems a person of color can have a clean record, clean background, and superior test results, but excluded based on the possible perception of deception. This is alarming since that can easily be investigated and cleared based on the rest of his or her application. Thoughts, comments, please, on this.
Again, this to me seems like Councilman Gudes not falling in line with what the administration wants, what they wish the city of Tampa to look like, or how it functions. And I applaud him for pushing back against policies like that. I believe that a polygraph test they're inaccurate, and it's been said that people can they can falsify them. So this is coming from FB.
We're attorneys, and we can tell you they are not admissible in the court of law because they are
Thank you.
absolutely unreliable.
There you
Thank
go.
Completely unreliable.
There you
Thank
go.
you. So
I mean,
Orlando Good. Sorry,
just
Life.
let me
Sorry,
jump in
Life.
right quick. Yeah, I would just say, and I appreciate what Julio said so far about Orlando and not falling in line. But more than that, Orlando advocates for what's said in this, what's referred to in this document as people of color, but Orlando will say black people. He will say district. I heard Breton say District 3. I thought it was District 5. Whatever the district is, Orlando will talk about his district, his people, black people, and advocate for Africans. It's not just that he's not falling in line. He also stands up and makes bold statements and bold demands for the African community that expects him to do that. And so and Jane Castor, like I said, I hope, I'm glad that this is a record. Insane Jane knows exactly how I feel. She's a monster and a maniac. When she ran for mayor, I knew it was going to be trouble. The Strass campaign and I worked together for a very short period of time. I was in law school down in Miami Gardens at the time, and they brought me up to help with the campaign, but just a little too late. If we had a little more time, we might have been able to have a different effect, but I made it clear that Castor land, y'all might have seen the movie Django, and a lot of it was based on this ranch called Candyland. And y'all know what happened on Candyland. Y'all saw what they did to Africans on Candyland. Well, this is Castorland. And we can't expect anything less, or should not expect anything less than what we get from Jane Castor. She's brutal to the African community. And Orlando, his attachment to, he did assimilate to some degree to get to the position he's in, but apparently his hypocrisy goes only so far, and he draws a line, and he stands up for the community in a certain kind of way that's intolerable. Thank you, Haiti, for allowing me.
Do we know if that letter has been answered? Do we know if there's any response to that?
I didn't see anything on that in the report, but here's the other second thing. Here's the other second time that city councilman Orlando Gudes goes to bat for the black community. Let's see this report. Very interesting. Very interesting. We're going to go to page 149. This is what this says. Page 149. From the legislative aide, his former legislative aide, to John Bennett, the chief of staff. Good afternoon, Councilman Gudes. Councilman Gudes requested I share the email below. This is, the legislative aide to John Bennett. This is what Orlando wanted forwarded. He's linking an article from the Biz Journals where the title of the headline for that link is "Minority Businesses Are Fed Up with Baltimore's Procurement System. Can city leaders fix it?" And his comment, or actually the individual who's forwarded this to Orlando says, this is Mayor Castor's chance to fix this. There are some options. It's been broken 20 years. So we see another communication. What date? June 21 of 2021, which is a month before the July departure from his legislative aide seeking a leave of absence after she dropped the ball because she was tasked with arranging for the attendance of the Buffalo Soldiers that July for them to receive a commendation, and she didn't. Orlando Gudes became frustrated, and she went on a leave of absence. Okay, so two times Orlando Gudes within this period is asking the administration, why is there this disparity with colored people and positions in the Tampa Police Department and the fire department? Why? Just based on polygraph? And then now, what are we doing about the procurement process with minority businesses, colored businesses? What are we doing with that? Two things in that time frame. I want a chronological timeline, so let's go forward here with page 107. This is from the legislative aid, July 14th, 2021, agenda review subject. Being that the agenda review has been canceled, if there are any updates for the chair that you would like for him to know, please feel free to contact me and I will brief Councilman Gudes Thursday morning. Everything seems copacetic with the work relationship. July 14th, 2021, everything seems fine. Let's go to page 108 of the 349-page report from the legislative aid, July 26th. Good morning. Please send the following message below from Councilman Gudes. Everything seems fine there. Let's go to page 25. Here's where it gets now where this controversy arises from. By this point, she'd taken a leave of absence after the debacle of her dropping the ball with her work duties and not coordinating the attendance of the Buffalo Soldiers to a city council meeting so that they can receive a commendation from Orlando Gudes. And then she sends an email to Kimberly Sullivan. Hi, Kimberly. This is her name, the claimant, from Councilman Gudes' office. Could you give me a call on my personal cell at? Please, it's regarding the conversation we had yesterday. Thank you. Now, I don't know who contacted who, if HR contacted them. It appears so. They said that they began to contact her, which just seems odd. Let's stop right here, time chronology-wise. They have said so. They have said as much. They began to contact her as to the 2020 allegations that had been closed. So we're going to stop there, and I want your thoughts on that. Does that seem odd, Candace, at this juncture and everything that's happened that we've gone through?
It does. It does seem odd that the human resources would reach out to her when she said, I'm taking a leave of absence, and for them to reach out to her to say, hey, is there something else going on? But when we look at what we read before with the communication between human resources and the alleged victim, saying she really now has built some kind of actual relationship with them. She proceeds to say that they're a mentor and thank you for all of your help and you've coached me to where I'm able to handle the situation better. So I think their relationship also had become unique in the fashion that it probably didn't seem abnormal for them to reach out to her, because it looks like it has their relationship exceeded beyond just employee and employee. There now is a mentorship. So I guess that would explain why human resources would go, you're taking a leave of absence, even though you haven't come to us and said there's anything wrong. We're reaching out to you and we want to know, hey, is there something going on? Like, what's taking place that you would be gone this long? I think it's probably a little invasive to do if someone takes a leave of absence and they don't come to you with their problems. But I guess given the nature of their relationship, it probably didn't seem abnormal.
Okay, so this is what we do know from, we'll go back to facts and the report. We have a page 59 where they redact, because I when I began going through the 349-page report, I read this and I go, from a professional. I wanted to see who exactly contacted them. On July 29th, 2021, Human Resources received a letter from I didn't know who that might be, professional, stating that that's the legislative aid was seen in his office on August 5th, 2021, and would need to be out of work until August 16th. Now, folks, what comes first, August or July? Huh? What comes first? Is this a sloppy report? Who did this report? Because from my recollection of our calendar, August comes after July. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, sloppy report. And let's go ahead now. Whoopsie. Somebody forgot to redact the second one. So now I know who it was, the professional medical. They forgot to redact that if that's what they intended to do. So a doctor's office called, stating that the legislative aid was seen in his office on August 5th and would need to be out of work. So that's a typo apparently, or very sloppy, but so we can safely assume that this is happening, folks, after she is told, why did you not arrange, as you were tasked to, the Buffalo soldiers coming here to receive a commendation? She leaves abruptly. Now she's at a doctor's office. The doctor's calling HR saying, hey, she's on a leave. She's not going to be able to go to work. Okay. Any thoughts, comments?
Haiti, I'd just like to add that further adding to the point that Gudes had an established relationship with the claimant. He went out of his way to make sure that after this whole episode happened with her failing to do her duties on the job, that she would still have a job with the city of Tampa at the Department of Parks and Recreation. That to me doesn't sound malicious at all. If he was guilty of what the city of Tampa and the mayor's administration is accusing him of, I don't see why he would stick his neck out for his friend.
Well, and here's the facts, not just what you're saying or opinion. For those who care about truth and facts, those who care about truth and facts, here we go. Page 15 of the 349 report. It's a letterhead from Orlando Gudes' office, dated August 13th, 2021, while she was on a leave of absence. And he says, in reference to my aide, returned from medical leave, I would like to ask that you locate a position possibly within the Parks and Recreation Department for her. In light of her recent health challenges, I believe it might be in her best interest to be placed with a less stressful environment. Since becoming the chairman of City Council, the workload has increased and has become a bit more stressful than before. With the increase, I do not want it to affect Miss health and work performance. In the meantime, I have worked with some of the... Okay, so he's trying to help her. Trying to say, hey, could you go somewhere alternatively in the workplace? That's August 13th, 2021, right before imminently. Now, this investigation related to 2020 is revisited. Anybody have anything to say about that?
Well, Hetty, I don't have anything necessarily to say. Particular, Gretchen looked like she wanted to jump in, and it might be about that. So I'll be quiet. Gretchen, go ahead.
Oh, no.
What a gentleman you are. What a gentleman life is. We'll defer to you, Gretchen, and then we'll circle back to life.
With the timing, it does seem as if she took the leave, like he might have known something was amiss, and that's why he was looking for her to be moved to a different position. Yeah, it's just the timing is very weird. And I will note, Celeste made a comment saying it looks like they were stalking or stacking information.
Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and show her. Mona says looked yes. Like they was just stocking information when they needed it.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it strikes me as so suspicious that and I forget the exact date of the city council meeting, but when Bill Carlson and Orlando Gudes voted against O'Connor's confirmation, Bill Carlson said, now, if any information is leaked out right after this against the two of us, you know why. And all of a sudden, this story broke. So,
and we're gonna.
I actually have that footage on standby.
Okay, hold on. All right, awesome. Very well. So let's go ahead and take life real quickly. He needed to say something, and he, as a gentleman, deferred to Gretchen.
Yeah, one of the things that stood out to me during this entire conversation, although I wasn't in studio and participating in the program, I listened on Facebook, so I heard a lot of the comments made before I actually joined the discussion. One of the things that stands out to me, and it just, somebody just brought it up, is the fact that somebody mentored her, and coached her, and she learned something. And though that kind of language leads me to believe that she, perhaps it was her behavior that was, the behavior that needed correcting. And these people helped her, mentored her to correct her behavior, what have you. And, everything we've seen so far in these documents suggests that Orlando was a part of that process of helping her through whatever struggles she had that required her to take leave, required her to need mentorship, required her to say, I learned something from what happened, and now, the issue's over. A lot of that language sounds like no, not that. Yeah, well, it's almost like she's conceding, the point that she might have interpreted things, or she might have had a lot of culpability in because listen, I'm being so careful right now because I don't want to be in Orlando's position. I don't want to get caught up in the victim blaming idea and anything like that. So I'm not saying that whatever is her fault, but I am saying just the language sounds like she's saying, "Hey, I might have I learned something from these mentors, and based on what I've learned, everything's cool." And so I
Or
think
she
that's
might have felt just not as stressed out or felt. Listen, I don't know either. Life here's the thing. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, we're reviewing facts. We're reviewing documents that were released to the public. And so far, I'm not saying she's lying or not lying, but right now, I would not, as a fair, righteous, wanting to be at least, I'm not perfect. If I want to be fair and righteous, after reviewing all of this that I took time to do as a contribution to civically, okay, because we're all as citizens, we should always fight for due process for everyone so that no one is on the bad end of a false allegation that could ruin you. Okay, that's all I'm doing here, folks. So when I'm looking at all of this, this looks like I can't adjudicate this fairly. I can't. I can't say with everything that I'm seeing here. There's motive here. There's motive to jump on a train and say he did this and that because you just dropped the ball on your on at the job, and hold on, I'm trying to find.
But hey, while you're doing that, what I'm saying
Yes,
is,
sir.
if you didn't do anything wrong, what do you have to learn? If you have all the right moves, how well can someone coach you? I mean, for example, there members of this panel who are attorneys, and that we've been mentored and coached, but there's a time we don't need to mentor or to coach because we've gotten to a level of competency. And so I'm just saying, just that language that they mentored me. They coached me, they showed me. Let me tell you and I know I appreciate the idea that some people supervise. I'm not anybody's I supervise my children. Like my fathership is my supervisorship. But other than that, what I do know is that if somebody came to me with a problem, and I could show them where they had a problem, where they were a contributor to the problem. I could imagine them saying, "Thank you for helping me, coaching me, not necessarily coaching me like on the stand or something like that, but coaching me, showing me that, you might be too sensitive. It can happen. Even as we talk about this shift in the relationship and how the dynamics work from friendship to, employer, employee and all that, and how important it is to manage that correctly. I mean, she might have gotten it wrong, and she might have needed some coaching to say, "Hey, you're being too sensitive, or you overreacting. Everybody calm down." And I'm not placing any blame anywhere, but just that language that I learned something says to me that there was something there for her to learn in order to manage that situation better. And the fact that she considered it over and closed, that all that combined makes me think, maybe she saw the error in her ways and was like, "Hey, okay, I'll be quiet."
No.
I agree with Live.
You can talk. Go, Getulio. I just I found the document that I was looking for, but you go ahead, Getulio. I'll jump in right after you're done.
Yeah, it sounds like standard remedial practices, like HR speak. Like you make a mistake and people come to the table and how can we make this right so that somebody doesn't lose their employment? How do we move forward from this? I don't necessarily see anything malicious from it, as in coaching from, okay, we're coaching we're coaching the claimant to present a certain story. I don't think it sounds like that. I definitely agree with Malcolm on this one. But there are definitely are motives behind this, or an agenda behind this, as you've brought up, Haiti, and I'd like to highlight that. As soon as you're ready, I'd like to, if you can share my screen, I'd like to show the
Oh,
audience something.
let me just share this because we just hit the 1 hour mark. It's long. I knew that this would happen. There's a lot to show, but on page 233, we have Natasha Goodley in 2019, July 14th of 2019, emailing this former legislative aide saying, "We need to be certain that we are responding timely, that we are responding to individuals in a timely manner." Timely matter. I think she meant manner. I'm just reading what she wrote, but I think she meant manner. "Your response to constituents will reflect on how they see Councilman Gudes, and my job is to make certain people always see Gudes in a positive light. I understand that the office receives a large amount of emails daily, but we need to create a system to better assist you with your response time. I've been at community meetings where individuals have said they've reached out to the office and did not hear back. We can't have that moving forward. I can make myself available to sit with you and see how we can streamline the process. Let me know when you might have a few hours free one day." Now, again, going back to the timeline, this is started as early as 2019. This is already a problem. Okay. And it seems that now that's 2019. Now we're going to July of 2021, and she drops the ball on the Buffalo Soldiers. And that makes her take a leave. She wanted to medically justify it, is contacted by HR. Is everything okay? And now for some reason, they're going back to November of 2020 when they said that the case was closed. They're going back to revisit that. Does that seem strange, Candace? And the call-in number is 813-221-9700. If anyone wants to call in and make a comment or ask a question, certainly you can also comment, and we'll post your comments. Is that weird, Candace?
Well, I mean, I will tell you that when I look at the report from what took place prior in 2020, I think she has a lot of credibility. I think it's admirable, I mean, to some degree, to not file a formal complaint and to work with HR to come to a resolution. And I think there's this whole statement about her saying, "I'm going to find my voice," because like we said before, it looks like that's the situation, is that there is a friendship before, and now there's this work environment, and it puts you in an uncomfortable position maybe of how you find that voice to say to your boss, "I know we were friends, outside of work. I know we have a relationship, but now that you're my boss, I feel uncomfortable with you saying those things," because it really changes the dynamic you have outside of the work and now inside the work. So I think there's a lot of credibility there to whatever has happened before. I would believe that probably took place to some degree. And I think Orlando's agreeing to that too, saying, "Hey, this is a misunderstanding." And I think when she said, "Hey, I found my voice, you've mentored me, you've coached me up, all these things. Now I'm okay. I want to drop this whole entire thing." Now we are fast forwarding to 2021 where she takes, and now you found that report, she takes a medical leave. So there's a medical letter that comes in, medical. This is not, and it's not clearly saying this is from a psychologist maybe, but it's saying there's a medical letter, something that comes in, and that she takes a leave, and then Human Resources reaches out to her. So I think it's a little, I'm finding it a little inappropriate that HR would reach out when you get a medical letter or something that says, "Hey, I can't return back from work from this." I find it a little inappropriate for HR to reach out to you directly and say, "Hey, is everything going okay?" Well, you just got a letter or some communication from the medical department or medical, personnel saying that I cannot return to work for this extended amount of time. I almost find it inappropriate that Human Resources is reaching out to her. They've already been told that she doesn't want to have to deal with work or anything like that. And I think it probably has something to do, as it's been stated, with the stress. If whatever happened in July took place and she's now been admonished or whatever it is, obviously she must be realizing that there's this stressful aspect to what she's doing, and she feels like it's probably overwhelming or whatever this medical is that we don't know. I still don't understand why HR would reach out to her and say, "Hey, I know we got this about there's this medical reason why you can't come back." So, hey, want to know, hey, is everything okay? What else is going on? And then that
So
kind
do
of
you think?
probes
So do you
into what's
think it's
going on.
odd that they would? You're already saying you think it's odd.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, I do
compound
think
that,
it's odd.
the oddity of that, with, hey, let's go revisit, go back in time to 2020 to talk about what happened. Is that not odd?
I do think it's odd. I mean, I don't know if she brought up. I mean, you kind of scoured through the report more. So in 2021, when the HR calls her and she now says, I feel stressed, and I also feel like there's this environment being created. There's these sexual jokes. I don't know if she's meaning that there's new jokes or if she's going back to the 2020 allegation. So I guess that'd be a question for you, Haiti. Does she seem to be bringing up new allegations from 2020 to 2021, or is she just bringing back the old allegations from 2020?
yes. And then we're
Yeah,
gonna
she's
see
bringing
here.
up new allegations. It's in the
Wait,
in
hold on a
Gudes'
second. Hold on a second.
attorneys. Okay,
Hold on. What is this? Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the facts.
but they were all
This
pretty
is what
much
it says. This
rebutted.
is August or October 4th, 2021. This email is from the complainant to Frederick McClure, who's one of, and Alicia Kopke, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from the Trenton Law Group, the quote unquote independent law firm that's investigating this, that was hired by Gina Grimes, the city attorney. And the complainant is saying, hello, I am emailing you is because you asked me for dates, and some dates I could collect are the incident with my daughter at the Jackson Heights NFL Yet Center, and it was the Operation Conversation Community Sports Challenge event. We're talking June 8th, 2019. And the night of the Tampa Firefighters Museum Casino Night Gala was the situation where he made the comment about the mayor and her wife. That took place September 7th, 2019. Now, I'm going to go real quickly through this. Charlie Frago, I just wanted to ask, and I'm done with after these two shares. But we have Charlie Frago. Somebody tipped Charlie Frago off. Okay. Some people are saying that the administration is leaking stuff. How did Charlie Frago know to ask about this investigation when it was confidential? It's confidential. How did he find out? Certainly, the complainant didn't release that or leak that because she wanted it to be confidential. Certainly, we know it's a misdemeanor to identify anybody that is in connection with a sexual harassment complaint. Look, we have
look at that date though. So that's the 18th. What was the other date that we had?
This is
So
August 18th of 2021. She's already on her leave of absence. Charlie Frago, the reporter, which, by the way, Jane Castor has said that his recent headline that the charges were dismissed dismissed in 2020 was untrue. That's what Jane Castor said to the community at a press conference. It's in the media. She's the one that now looks like the liar is her. That is true. It was dismissed. But this email is from August 18th, 2021, while she's on leave. Somebody tipped off Charlie Frago. Who was that? Where now he's asking, I'd like to make a public request. I'd like to make a public records request for any and all documents, including but not limited to, mentions the legislative aid, departure from City Council Chairman Orlando Gudes. Look, Charlie Frago knew this woman's name. They had to redact it. Who gave him? That's a misdemeanor. Yes, Candace, am I wrong on this? This is dated August 18th
it's literally
of 2020.
It's literally days after HR calls her. The other thing I do want to point out is that.
But wait. Let's focus here for Charlie Frago. He's a writer for the Tampa Bay Times. He is asking for personnel records or public records requests for any and all documents, including but not limited to the aide. He names her. They redacted that. He knew the name. Who said that to him? That's a misdemeanor. Departure from City Council Chairman Orlando Gudes' office.
And look at the date. This is August 18th. He's emailing. She was scheduled to return back to work on the 16th. So this is 2 days after she went back to work. Somebody leaked that
And
it
it's-
needs her information.
and it's literally 6 days after HR calls her
Right.
during her leave, and she makes technically the report.
Emerald Morrow, who's a journalist, asked them when they're releasing stuff where the legislative aid could be easily identifiable during an investigation of this, which the Florida state law says is a misdemeanor if you identify somebody. Did Jane Castor commit, or anybody that divulged this, commit a misdemeanor?
It looks like they did. Reading the language of 119, it looks like they did commit a misdemeanor. Someone
Okay.
used
So
her name.
who is this? Who's Bennett? Who do we
He's
figure
the
out was
chief.
Bennett?
He's the chief of staff, John
He's
Bennett.
Yes, he's her chief of staff. And I think it's interesting on this email, Frago CC's Adam Smith, who is the director of communications for Mayor Castor.
Here's the other interesting
And he used to be a political journalist at the Tampa Bay Times, where Frago works.
So here's what's also interesting. Here's the city of Tampa, Jane Castor, mayor, and this is Aaron Bradley, senior executive aide, sends a documents related to letter of engagement. Dear Mr. McClure Esquire and Miss Kopke Esquire, enclosed, please find the records provided to Charlie Frago pursuant to public records. This is dated September 15th, 2020. Is this sloppy or what?
Absolutely.
Is this sloppy or what?
It's
Wait,
leaving
you mean-
it's a paper trail.
And they're wrong on the date. That should have been
The date. Wait,
2021.
you're telling me, how do you know that's the date? September 15, 2020.
That can't be correct.
It can't be correct because that's when they responded to Charlie Frago's public records request. Which
Scroll
was
down.
good for
Scroll
20
down. You can't have this much dates being this
It's wrong.
wrong.
They asked for, so here we go back to Charlie Frago's public records request.
Okay.
Let's go right there. It is dated August 18th, 2021. He's asking for a public records request. They respond, and they dated September 15th, 2020. That's wrong. Enclosed, please find the records provided to Charlie pursuant to a public records request. I mean, unless this was in 2020. I mean, I think no. It appears to be wrong. Somebody correct me if
Scroll down and look at, we'll see the record, what the records actually showed. The dates, are there any dates on those records?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
2021.
yeah. So they
How could you be
they
that
was wrong, the
messy?
2020. Yep.
Oh my gosh, when dates matter.
Very sloppy, the city
Instantly.
of Tampa, with documenting things correctly date-wise. We've already found 2 instances. Okay, so we're talking about old allegations.
And wait, just to make, I want to make this just a side point. As an attorney, and this is coming from an attorney's office, correct? It's
Yes.
very difficult to correct. The dates on a letter like this is absolutely admissible. It becomes factual. It becomes that it was
Correct,
sent
right.
and that it was received and that it was everything on September 5th, 2020. To unravel that, to say that it wasn't true, is absolutely difficult, almost impossible to do in a court of law. So the fact that this date is wrong from a legal office, from a law office, is absolutely inappropriate. It's very, very inappropriate, unethical, and should not happen that way. I mean, I cannot believe the date is wrong like that.
And twice we've already seen in the records. Here's one last thing that I'm going to show.
Especially when a timeline becomes very relevant. That's what we're talking about right now.
And
It's
we have
timeline.
people right when the horse is out of the gate, when headlines come out and allegations are made. We have Councilman Joseph Citro. I'm trying to imitate him. Saying, "Oh, he should resign," and Luis Vieira too. It's scary that there are persons in governmental positions that have the ability to cast votes and affect the lives of the public, seeming as, especially Luis Vieira, who's a lawyer, seeming like they're clueless as to the concept of due process. Listen, I'm gonna just share this. Charlie Frago asked Tampa Mayor said Tampa Mayor Jane Castor pretty much impugned Charlie Frago by suggesting his headline was wrong as to the dismissal of the 2020 allegations, which he was right, she was wrong. He confronted her in at a press conference, and they were saying that this person the complainant had contacted them in order to have these old allegations resurface. Jane Castor said, no. She contacted us. We didn't contact her. This email, then he confronts her with this email that he had received through his public records request. And this is what it says. We have now, look at the timeline, folks, for those of you that want to know the truth. Now this complainant who got on board, whether she was coerced, did it on her own, we don't know. But she's saying, I do not wish to continue with this investigation. I have informed City of Tampa at HR that I am leaving. I do not want to do this anymore. Please stop. She's saying, I don't want to do this anymore. Almost as if you guys are trying to get me to do this. I don't want to do it anymore. Stop it. That's the culmination of all of this.
This is from the alleged victim.
Yes. No.
Okay, and so let me just tell you now, because it's making much more sense, because I also believe, like we figured out from the very beginning, her relationship with HR became to a point to where she was thankful for them helping her. They became a mentor for her. So in my opinion, if she felt that something was taking place that rose to the level of actionable, she would have gone to the HR. She wouldn't have taken just a leave of absence if that's what it was for. She would have gone to HR. She would have gone to them because she felt comfortable with them. So I do think it's a little odd that they had to come to her. And then now you get an email like that where she's saying, I don't want to pursue this. I want it just to end and I'm leaving.
And they've gone to her more than once. Keep in mind, this wasn't a single instance of this HR department trying to, as you brought up, as soon as she took that leave of absence due to medical reasons, HR reached out to her. Here she goes again saying, leave me alone. To me, that has the perception of coercion. I don't want to make
it has the perception of a vested interest in HR. For some reason, HR seems a lot more interested in Orlando Gudes and what they think that he has done or not done than what it is that the alleged victims' wants are. Especially because she didn't come to them originally, after in 2021. She didn't come to them; they came to her, which is interesting to state, because you also, if you've ever dealt with victims, you have to be really careful with respecting their boundaries, right? Their boundaries have already been to some degree trampled on. And so when you're dealing with the police department, social services, HR, any of those kind of entities, EEOC, any of those things, they have to also be very careful, and attorneys, that we don't impede what their boundaries are, because they've already been impeded upon. So if someone comes to see me and tells me about allegations and then decides that they don't want to pursue them, I have an obligation to not pursue them, or I'm once again re-victimizing them. So I find that just very interesting. So does that mean that she's now in the middle of this whole entire thing, but she didn't want to be? Like, that would be absolutely upsetting.
Right. And Candace, I'll also note on what Candace says, that she is writing that to the attorneys from Trenum that the city had hired. So these are attorneys she's saying, stop.
So
Poor girl.
You're on, Life. You're on.
Yeah. So okay, thank you. I'm not sure exactly. Let me just say this: I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I see it all the time when AVs don't want to prosecute, but as the words come up over and over in this discussion, motive. But the state will take the case, regardless of how the alleged victim feels about.
Horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, and so and there's some motive, and I must say, Haiti, I know that's where you are, but Pinellas County, one of the worst. I had a trial where
they're like, oh, the alleged victim isn't going to testify. Oh well, we don't care.
That's true for Pinellas.
The alleged victim didn't didn't contribute to depositions,
it's-
didn't show up,
yeah.
and we still picked 6.
Sad.
We got it. And look, that's the only JOA I have, right? You know, because it was a crazy case. For people listening, judgment of acquittal before the jury gets it. You know, the judge can decide that the state did not do enough to prove their case, or at least get the case to a jury so that the jury could find the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's what a JOA is, a judgment of acquittal. And we got that, but Pinellas County would do that. And so my point is, but there's a motive. You know? They have some kind of motive. They, you know, and so that's the point I'm making.
Well,
I
especially
understand,
the personal motive that has not taken into the account of what's in the best interest of the actual alleged victim. And that's what's so sad.
Yeah.
And let's just say that there's a difference here between a criminal charge and one that even his attorney saying doesn't even rise to the level, taking all the allegations as they are. His report, if you read it, and we're not going to have time, unfortunately, because we're already hitting the 1 hour and 30 minutes. That's a long broadcast. It's been great. I wish we could go on, but
I know, Haiti, I want to say one more thing real quick. And I think we should probably look into this more, because now I actually seeing this from a different angle, is that the scary part is, if that's how she ended it with Trenum Law or the attorneys, then there also is an element that's missing. Because if you're talking about, because what the allegations ended up being was that he had created this hostile work environment, and a hostile work environment like literally requires a subjective aspect of it, that she feels that there's a hostile work environment, and objective that a reasonable person would have felt the same way. So if she's telling the lawyers, I don't want to pursue this, I didn't come to HR came to me, and I don't want to go any further, then how can then the lawyers determine that it's a hostile work environment? So I think that is a little element that we're going to have to kind of unravel a little bit more, because lawyers shouldn't be the one determining if it's a hostile work environment. It should start with the alleged victim. And if the alleged victim saying, I don't want to pursue this, they're in essence saying, I don't feel that way. And then for them to go any further means, why did they go further? And why did they issue a statement saying this is what we believe took place, and we believe that she was made to be in a hostile work environment, if she seems to not be stating that? It's a little scary.
Robin, thanks for tuning in. And thank you for tuning in. Robin Lockett is saying yes, very true.
Haiti.
So
Haiti, can I share that clip?
go ahead and share it, and then I'm gonna share one last thing. I stopped the share
Mr.
on
Leo,
the. Sir, go ahead, Life. I yield to you, sir.
no, just right quick. Before we go, I want to know if we can walk away with saying what, because that we raised some really incredible points. So I want to know what it is. I want to know if we can walk away saying what we can do in terms of solutions. I mean, we've talked a lot about what has happened, what's going on. I want to know if we can say something. I mean, Attorney Colucci really sparked that and like that, because there's something else. And so what can, if we can kind of wrap up, and even if it's not just what we as lawyers can do, but what can the community do, based on
we're not done yet. I'm gonna go on.
I'm saying before we close, I just want to know if we can give people something, some kind of action item or something.
I hear your plan of action for sure. The first thing is we gotta read. We got to pay attention to what's going on with people that are in office, that are affecting our lives with their policy making. We do. So yes, that's important. What could we do? We could come have discussions, virtual town square discussions like we are now, and elections. Hopefully somebody runs against Tampa Mayor Jane Castor. I wouldn't trust her to govern a lemonade stand. This is Candace, as you just said, this woman is saying at the end of November 2021 to this independent law firm that was hired by the city that cost taxpayers $100,000. Please stop. It's when you say please stop, it's almost like leave me alone, please.
No,
okay.
Yeah. I think the solution. I mean, I don't think it's a solution yet. I think we're doing what we're supposed to do, which is question everything.
Right.
Which is to not take things at their face value. Because I think we at least started unraveling this, and I actually think just from preliminarily, it seems like everyone's maybe on the same page. Orlando's on the same page with the alleged victim of saying we have this relationship. Now there's a line that's been crossed, and we're still trying to clarify that line. And yes, it has gone back and forth, and now Orlando feels like he may have said things he shouldn't have said, and she feels like he said things he shouldn't have said, but she's learned how to use her voice. And I think that has been trampled on, because, oh my God, I mean, I want to look into it anymore, because heaven forbid that's what she felt like. And now here we are talking about it, and now it's all in the news. Her name is everywhere. It's not hard to figure out who she is, and that's literally what she didn't want. I mean, God bless her heart if she's saying, I just wanted to learn how to deal with this. I wanted to know what I should do to deal with this fact that my relationship has changed and I don't feel comfortable with the way it used to be. And I think Orlando's I think his statement seems accurate. So it would be really upsetting, disappointing if there was an ulterior motive, somebody in the background that wanted to get him out and was able to utilize that. And I've had instances like that before, where I've had attorneys, where I've been in a case where I've listened to the attorney and I've said, stop speaking for the client. Stop doing that. Their client never said that. So the fact that you're utilizing your platform because you're such a zealous advocate and making up things that are not true and make counts for this lawsuit that are not backed up by your own witness during his deposition. So stop doing that. And that's kind of what it's feeling like here. And I truly hope that's not it, because God bless her heart. Because if she was dealing with stress before, what is she dealing with now?
Agreed.
All right, go ahead and share.
She's really the victim in this. No, and I think that I find it very suspicious also that now suddenly her attorney that she's had this whole time, Grady Irvin, is suddenly dropped from her. He's no longer her attorney, and she's hired Ethan Loeb, who is the attorney who was suing John Dingfelder on behalf of Stephen Michelini, the developer consultant. So
that's very odd. That's very odd that they're using the same. So just to jump on what Gretchen just said, it's the truth. Ethan Loeb is the attorney representing the developer that sued John Dingfelder, casualty number 1, and then now 2, Orlando Gudes. Hopefully he's not a casualty. I think he should fight. I'm not a victim basher. I am. I seek truth, and if there's truth that persuades me that these things happen, then that's who I'm going to be on the side of. I am not friends with Orlando Gudes. I've seen him out and about. You can count with one hand, maybe 3 times. Okay. And I got it. So I'm not defending him. I'm just seeking truth here and facts. And I got to tell you, our reputation is something that we should always protect, take care of, and to live above board and to be righteous persons. I'm not convinced. I don't know where the truth is here. I don't. And if it were me and I was his employer, let's say, I wouldn't fire Orlando Gudes. Honestly, I would not. And when we go to court and when we, like as criminal defense attorneys, sometimes the jury says not guilty, not because our client necessarily is innocent, but because there's reasonable doubt. I have a doubt. I don't know what this is. I have an impression that she was coerced. That whether that's true or not, based on these facts, I feel she was coerced to revisit something old that she had already decided was closed. Why? And I want to end. This is Robin Lockett. I'm going to let her comment, publish it. We want due process. I have 2 black boys, and if allegations were made, I want them. Of course.
Hey,
There's commentators that are broadcasting locally, and I'm not going to say who they are, in media outlets that seem to be pay for play.
I'll say it.
No, Haiti.
No, wait, let life, and then I'm going to let you play your little the video share. Go, life, go. It's true.
You have the Michelle Patties, out there who's saying stuff. And I don't know if that's it. So don't let me attribute or assign that to you, Haiti. Maybe that's not what you're talking about. But I know people like that, in the news, who have media platforms and saying stuff. But I would say you just said that you don't know Orlando. And in the interest of fairness and what have you, I want to say I know Orlando. I've known Orlando since I was a child. I'm 47 years old. And I have a pretty good idea of what kind of person he is. And he and I are on 2 completely different sides of political lines in most cases, but I know what kind of person he is, what kind of man he is. And that's not to say anything about the allegations, but I'm just saying that I do know him. And but the reason why I agreed to be on this panel and have this discussion is it has nothing to do with my personal relationship with Orlando. Like your facilitating this and organizing this has nothing to do with your personal relationship with Orlando because you don't have one. I'm here because, like you said, right is right, and at this, what this program, in my view, the thing that's most helpful about this program, or at least one of the things most helpful about this program, is that it highlights the the viciousness of the current administration towards the African community, and that's why I'm here. Unfortunately for Orlando, he has to be the victim of the most recent attack. But I really appreciate the program because, like I said it once and I said it twice, and I think this is the third time. Jane Castor is a monster and a maniac, and she hates the African community.
And I think we need to make sure that there's an answer to the letter that Orlando wrote to, what was it, the fire department?
He wrote that.
Yeah.
Let's see, facts. Facts are important, folks.
We want to keep that letter in the back of our mind because we want to make sure it doesn't go unanswered.
Again, I'm gonna let the public know. You can email me, oropesadefense@gmail.com. I have the 349-page report. I'm happy to email it to you because I want the community, our country, people to seek truth. Not even if the truth is against somebody that you love, truth comes first. City of Tampa, it is page 160. I'll tell you right now. 162, I believe that is. Yes, it is dated March 31st. It is page 162.
What's the
163
date of that
actually?
email?
163 in the 349-page report. John Bennett, Chief of Staff, he's asking about potential candidates for the Tampa Fire Rescue. And he's telling them this is March 31st, 2021, months before this legislative aide would take a leave of absence, a medical leave, it appears. And she left while working after she was asked, where's the coordination with the Buffalo Soldiers? And she dropped the ball on that. He became frustrated. She leaves, medical leave. But months before, Orlando Gudes is asking about what it appears to be a disparity with colored people and their applications to the Tampa Police Department and the Tampa Fire Rescue, and being denied just based on, even though everything else is good as far as their resume, a polygraph is excluding them. Okay? And then we have the other one with businesses, procurement procedures with minority businesses. Two things. That one was I referenced it before. I'm not going to look into the stack of
no, wait, just real quick. What was the date of the email from the alleged victim to the attorneys telling them to stop the investigation? What was the
that
date
is
of that
on page.
It's November 14th,
that is on page.
I believe 2021.
Yes, November 2021.
So
yeah, it was November of 2021.
So what I'm going to look at later on is I'm not seeing that in Trenum's report.
That's
it was an email in the
report.
304. You know why? Here's why. And here's an issue that a lot of people had in the public. They, meaning the Castor administration, conveniently released just a 60-page report condemning Gudes. And then all of a sudden there's a 349 one, which includes that email with her.
But if you're an independent law firm that gets hired to do this investigation, especially based on a hostile work environment, and you create a report in January 27th of 2020 that you give to the city attorneys, shouldn't that report clearly state in the report that come November, while they're in their investigation, she sent an email saying that she doesn't want us to pursue and that she's leaving the job? That should be in there. It's very relevant.
Sure. So
especially
go ahead.
Haiti, I've been itching to speak.
Perhaps
let Getulio go.
Okay, so I'm not an attorney yet. I'm not in law school yet. So I have given everything that's come to light and everything that's been unraveled. To me, the picture is very clear. It's a political agenda. Gudes is coming out against anti-black policies. Gudes is a fierce advocate for affordable housing and rent control or rent stabilization or a community land trust. And the mayor takes political contributions from developers. It was revealed that the Tampa Strong PAC, the Tampa Strong Political Action Committee, 60% of those contributions actually come from developers. And initially, the mayor was in favor of a community land trust, but it wasn't until Gudes came out in favor of rent stabilization that she backed out and said that because it would slow the growth in Tampa. So to me, it paints a picture where Gudes is becoming politically inexpedient for the mayor's administration, and they want to get rid of him. And this is political assassination. I don't know if this is the right way to do this, to approach this, but as I said, I am not in law school yet. I'm just looking at the picture, the patterns that have been painted, and I'm calling it how I see it. And I think that's completely wrong. I think that is incredibly authoritarian. I think that the mayor is a bully and a dictator, and she needs to be held accountable to it. And like Life Malcolm said, there should be an action item. And I think that people within the Black and Hispanic community should go to city council and they should voice that. And they should make it explicitly clear that what the mayor's administration is doing to Orlando Gudes and what they've done to John Bigenfelder and what they probably are going to do to Bill Carlson, as I'll show in this clip ahead, is wrong. It's an attack on democracy. It's an attack on our systems. And I just don't agree with it, and it should not stand. I think that somebody should run against her this coming election cycle, and they should get her out of office.
Go ahead,
that's
and
all I have
okay.
to say.
Go ahead, share that video clip where he's ominously expecting impending payback and leaks and da 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 da. My humble opinion, this is opinion now, folks, not fact. I doubt the Castor administration would be really, really dense to hit Bill Carlson now. For real. If something comes out against Bill Carlson now, it's gonna look like a pattern.
They're already searching though, Haiti.
I understand, but I don't think so.
Ethan Loeb already did a public records request trying to link Bill Carlson with some anonymous Facebook or Twitter page.
That was found not to be true.
Correct. So, okay. But they've already started.
Yeah.
Aiming at him.
Go ahead and show that, and then I'm gonna end, and I'm gonna close this.
You have to allow it.
I want to know two things. I'm gonna ask Life about something with the disparity again. We're gonna tie this into disparity with a black person and a white person, and I want all of you to comment. I'm gonna do a share after you do your share. We're going a little bit. Let's try to hurry. Go ahead and share that. I want to know what your thoughts are as to this double standard that I'm going to share. And I want to know, I'm on the record. If all of this is all the information that's out, I wouldn't be asking for Orlando Gudes to resign. I would not, based on what I know thus far. And then I want Life. Would you terminate him if you were his supervisor, based on what you know, just on this information?
Absolutely not.
Candace.
I would have to talk to the alleged victims more.
You would have, but I'm just saying, based on what we have so far, this report and everything that's been out, would you terminate him?
Based on what I have so far,
that's it.
I would say probably not, if that's how it ends. I mean, I would really want to know how she really felt about the situation from her mouth a little bit more. And I want to make sure that it's just said real quick to everybody that our hearts and prayers and everything go out to anybody who is a victim or an alleged victim of any sexual harassment or hostile work environment. And make no mistake, us questioning is not to discourage anybody from coming forward. It's to make sure that you're not being utilized as something like this, unfortunately, potentially as a political pawn. And that's what it is that has become so much in what we're seeing right now in the world, that there has been something that's just questionable about some of the stuff, not from her, but I believe from potentially from other people, which is why we're questioning it now.
This is my opinion.
Stated.
This is my opinion. And Gretchen, I'll ask you now. This is my opinion. I believe, based on what I've read, there are two victims here, Orlando Gudes and the legislative aide. That's who I think the victims are. And I think that the person that's creating the hostility the hostile work and community environment is Jane Castor and her administration. That's my opinion. Gretchen, would you terminate him
No.
based on what you know?
Based on what we know so far, no. And like
Tulio.
Candace said, I would need more information. I would want to talk to the victim. But with the victim having sent an email saying, stop, she didn't want to pursue it, I think that should have ended it. And I'll note, I went back to review the Trenum, the invoice, the bill that they sent. I'm looking at page 8 on the 349. And in their bill that they sent, I don't see anything in November of 2021 referencing an email from the alleged victim. So they're just, they're billing for talking about interviewing witnesses and stuff like that, but there's nothing in there about receiving an email, reviewing an email, and talking to the alleged victim about her not wanting to pursue.
All right. Getulio, go ahead and do your share, please.
Okay, so I'd just like to state that, personally, I'm with Candace. I would, if given the opportunity to interview the victim, I would, but barring that ability, no, I would not terminate Councilman Gudes.
Go ahead with
That's
your share.
All right.
Hey, I do want to say I would fire Jane Castor though. Based on what I know so far, I would fire her. I would give her
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Of course.
Listen, you're not telling me anything new. On June 2nd, I was at the front of the BLM march for 6-7 hours, and everything was peaceful. Nobody was doing anything. A whole bunch of university students. As soon as I left at midnight, the cops started hitting everybody with tear gas, and that's illegal. So, I know what type of person Jane Castor is.
We're gonna do another broadcast in the near future about just focused on discussing Jane Castor and her past and her history. Okay, so we need more time to do that. It's gonna take more than an hour probably. But Getulio, go ahead and share that. And I want to share one thing and ask about double standard with Jane Castor, with white and black. Go, Getulio, share your video.
Yeah, have you allowed it?
There you go.
Okay, we're good.
Yes, we are.
All right.
See it.
Black, and we brought that in for a landing. And when I've sat down with Chief Nominee O'Connor a couple times, we had great conversations. I'm very impressed with you, very impressed with your background, and she committed to being focused on civil rights and to continuing to end those racist policies from the last administration. One was biking while black, renting while black, and there are others. And we all know what they are, and we cannot go forward. This community cannot succeed if we have racial oppression. And if you want to see the economic impact of it, go to tampascorecard.com, and you'll see that in the last 10 years, during the biggest economic boom in American history, Tampa failed economically. If you look at the census data, I want to welcome, I think Ms. O'Connor's kids are here. I want to welcome them. I made a commitment to her in the beginning. I don't have anything bad to say about her anyway, but I said, I'm not saying anything bad about you because I know your kids are reading the paper. My kids also read it, and this administration has leaked information about me that's caused me to have misleading stories about me. And so I know that pain, and I'm not going to do that to you. I would not do that to you. If I have a dispute with you in the future, I'm going to call you and have a conversation with you about it. Other members here have read negative news that the administration has leaked as well, including our former council member, Bigenfelder, who had the staff leak something on Monday after he was no longer a city council member. I think that's despicable. Today, I think we have a great candidate, but I have to set that aside and talk about process. And really, it's not just process, it's about democracy. Democracy is at risk in this city. And most of the calls I'm getting are not about the candidate, it's about protecting democracy in this city. The process was not transparent. It was disrespectful, not just of council, especially disrespectful of council, but it was disrespectful to the public. And in our meeting a few weeks ago, we said that we gave feedback because we didn't have anybody in particular that we wanted to pick. And you would think that the next response would be that the mayor would call each of us and say, we apologize. We're going to change the process. What can we do better? I don't know about my colleagues. I didn't get a call. Instead, what we heard was that there was a political campaign, not a public information information campaign, not a public engagement campaign, but a campaign where friends of the administration, staff, and lobbyists strong arm people in the public to tell them they should support this candidate. And the candidate was not doing that, but somebody around the mayor was doing it. Why? And then they justify it in the media by saying we have a strong mayor form of government. It's not a dictatorship. We dealt with that for 8 years. We cannot go back to that situation again. In America, I don't know what people don't understand. In America, we believe in democracy and balance of powers. A strong mayor form of government doesn't mean you don't listen to anybody else. It doesn't mean you don't listen to the public or listen to city council. So then we gave feedback again, and we tried to be respectful of it. And my expectation was, we'll get an olive branch, we'll get an apology, and we might get a phone call, and maybe a new process. Instead, guess what happened? People around the mayor started introducing the chief nominee as the new police chief. And then the legal department said, you have no right to call her a nominee. It has nothing to do with the nominee. It has to do with disrespecting the public and city council. It's misinterpreting. It's
We'll have that.
misinterpreting.
Councilman speaking. We'll not have that. Keep your
It's
comments to yourself.
misinterpreting the charter. It's interpreting it in a biased way. And again, it's not her fault. It's the administration's fault. And then we got more attacks. We were attacked consistently in the media, misleading comments. And my colleague mentioned one a minute ago, 7 men can't vote for a woman. All kinds of negative things came out of the communication department of the city. By the way, we approved the budget of the communication department. We also approved the nominee, and we did so in good faith, thinking that that person would be collaborative with us. The Tampa Bay Times came out and criticized the administration for the incredibly divisive comments that person made on behalf of the mayor. And then the private sector can do whatever they want. But when the administration works to sabotage a sitting city council member, several city council members, and leak information that causes a city council member to have to resign, that is despicable. The public wants the administration to stop the attacks. They want the administration to stop the politics. They want the administration to stop the conspiracy theories, stop the divisiveness, and stop the controversies. We need to have democracy in our community. We need to work together. And guess what happens, by the way, if you vote yes because you want to get on the good side of the administration? I voted yes on Haddon Avenue. So did Dingfelder. It's one of the worst public policy things in the history of the city of Tampa. And guess what happened? We still got attacked, and Dingfelder is no longer on city council. I would ask the administration to start over, be respectful of the public, be respectful of city council. Let's be respectful of the balance of powers in this community, and let's be respectful of democracy in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So
Who was that? I couldn't see the name.
that was Councilman Bill Carlson.
Bill Carlson.
And at another point, I don't have the exact timestamp. At another point, he says if anything leaks in the following weeks, this was on March 17th, 2022. He explicitly mentioned, and I can't remember the timestamp, that if anything leaks out in the media in regards to accusations against him or Gudes, who voted no in regards to Chief O'Connor's confirmation, then it's in response to this. It's retaliation to this. And we can see a pattern of the mayor retaliating against people who doesn't do what she wants them to do.
You know, one of the things I didn't hear in this conversation was that whole community review board. I know there was some people who didn't like how the mayor handled that. And, so I'm just like, and I think it was you, Tulio, who made the point that it's not just one thing, regarding the Orlando Gudes. I mean, the reality is Jane Castor should not be the mayor of Tampa. And she did a good job I had a moment earlier where somebody said something about concealing, or something about Jane Castor and concealing something. I just laughed. I had a laugh out loud moment of busting out laughing moment. And I mean, Jane Castor is the queen of concealment. I mean, she's so far from transparent. Like, she will hide stuff. And so, like, when somebody says something like that, I just had a moment. So in case anybody's watching and they saw me just laugh on camera, that was based on that. But the reality is Jane Castor has no business. Let me say it differently. Jane Castor is the worst thing that could ever be, worst thing that we could ever have for a mayor in Tampa. And and all this stuff is playing out, and people who thought she was going to be good are now, coming, seeing what a lot of us saw ahead of, before her mayoral election, and that was it. It's just playing out in a really rough way. So yeah, all right.
So I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm trying to do a share here. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Who can see that? You all see that?
Yep.
Okay. I'm doing the best that I can. So a woman. This is a headline from Time staff writer. Woman rubbed from official, no accident. Hillsborough tax collector is accused of touching a woman against her wishes. Hillsborough County tax collector Doug Belden kissed a woman and intentionally rubbed her breast with his elbow as he petted her Boston Terrier, which sparked the woman to report Belden to Tampa police. The woman's attorney says. Attorney Jeff Brown explained his client's side of the story in an interview Saturday afternoon. He said his client, Julie Irwin, 38, a Harbor Island jewelry maker, would not answer reporters' questions. Tampa police confirmed last week that they are investigating a battery complaint involving Belden. Brown said Belden approached Irwin after 9 p.m. on October 12th at Jackson's Bistro, an upscale restaurant on Harbor Island. Irwin was reviewing business paper at the outside bar when Belden, who smelled of alcohol, walked over and began making unwanted advances. Belden asked Irwin if she knew who he was, Brown said. He then put his license on the bar and told her he was the guy you give your money to, an apparent reference to his elected position. Belden then kissed Irwin on the cheek, Brown said, and began petting Irwin's small Boston Terrier, Barber, who was sitting on her lap. That's when he rubbed her breast with his elbow. Okay, that's one share. Let's go to the next share. Hold on a second here. All right, here's the next share.
Did we lose Haiti?
Yeah, she's having some technical difficulties. She
Oh,
told
it
me
looks
earlier
like
just
it.
to stick
I
around.
just am going back over that email again. Side note, because I'm back to it again. And I just want to read it again. This is what it says. From the alleged victim is, I do not wish to continue with this investigation. I have informed City of Tampa at HR that I am leaving and I do not want to do this anymore. Please stop. That's what she sent to the lawyers of Trenum November 3rd, 2021. And I'm rereading their investigation report that they sent to the city attorney, and I still don't see reference to her email where she's telling attorneys to stop investigating.
I do
The
see
things
it,
that they-
Candace.
You do see it?
Well, not in their report, but they do reference it in their invoice on November 3rd. Analyze email from complainant and how to respond to same. Conference with Mr. McClure. Build 0.5, almost an hour to
I'm
analyze
back.
the email.
I accidentally logged off. My bad.
And I wonder where it's at in the report that you give to the city.
Yeah, I
I
don't.
mean, you're told to please stop your investigation of her allegations that you're going after. I mean, I can't imagine how that would not be relevant to the report. I mean, I'm going to delve into it more, but how it would not be, how it would be insanely relevant. We're talking about her perception of what took place is
All right.
the
Yeah.
work environment.
And
I'm back. Let me just finish this, please, and I'll let you guys talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is back to Doug Belden. Okay. This is 2006. Doug Belden and Monica Lewinsky's Blue Dress Love Creative Loafing. By the way, thank God we have them as an independent source of news here. Hillsborough County's testosterone fueled tax collector Doug Belden got in trouble last month for making unwanted touches of a woman at a bar in Tampa. She complained in the media. He denied in the media. Then he apologized in the media, blaming Demon Rum, of course. Better to apologize than not. Good boy. But if not for Monica Lewinsky's blue dress, Bill Clinton would probably still to this day be denying doing anything improper with that woman. She said, he said. And if not for the Tampa bar's surveillance video, Belden would perhaps to this day be denying anything improper with the lady in question. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop this share to say the following. So there's a news article that comes out against Doug Belden that he touched a woman's breast. She complained. He said, nuh-uh, she be lying. She be lying. And then a video surveillance at the bar, basically, there you go. Yeah, you did, Doug. Yeah, you did. And he said, my bad. I was drunk. Okay. With Orlando, if you go through the 349 report, Trenum Law even says there was no allegation of sexual advances nor of any touching. That's important to note that. Here, Doug Belden, a tax collector, former tax collector, not only, he went ahead and he actually did touch a woman's breast, denied it, got caught on video, and then said mea culpa, sorry, because he got busted. Otherwise, it would have been this woman who's a liar. She's lying. More recently, Doug Belden, I want to, in context of double standards, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do and ask about double standards, black and white in America. That's what I want to ask. This is Florida politics. This is 2020, July 1st of 2020. Longtime Hillsborough County tax collector Doug Belden is facing an ethics violation investigation, according to a complaint filed with the Florida Commission on Ethics. The complaint filed by Hillsborough County Democratic Party State Committee woman Alma Gonzalez alleges Belden illegally solicited favors and used his public office for political complaint. The complaint points to emails and text messages between July 22 and August 10th of 2019. That was a great year, it appears, 2019. It is my understanding, this is him to her, that you are aggressively trying to run someone against me, Belden wrote. I have helped people in Tampa and I have destroyed people in Tampa. I have tried reaching out to you. I can possibly help you with a law firm. Okay, he already paid a fine. He's no longer in office, but I want to see the double standard. What did let's do this as a share. Let's do this as a share. What does she do for Doug Belden? She doesn't say, this is what she does for Doug Belden with this history. Mayor Jane Castor to present former tax collector with proclamation on his retirement. Posted January 1st, 2021. On Wednesday, January 6th at 1 p.m., Mayor Jane Castor will present longtime former tax collector Doug Belden with a proclamation on his retirement. Okay? So he gets a proclamation. Douglas R. Belden Jr. Day proclamation. Is there a double standard? Life, you go first. Huh? What do you think about them apples?
Yes.
You're muted.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's nothing else to say. The answer to that question is yes.
Okay. Okay. What about anybody want to chime in? There's a double standard. There's a white man who grabbed a woman's breast at a bar, denied it when she said, "Excuse me, that's a battery. It's a criminal act." He denies it, is caught on video, says, "I'm sorry, yep, did it, but it was because alcohol. And then more recently threatens another woman, a Spanish woman, like, "Hey, I can destroy people, lady. Forget that this is America and our founders and the colonists who fought and all those who fought against former Britain that ruled us for the right to have our representatives and to vote." He's saying, there will be no elections. You do not have anybody run against me, or if not, I'll destroy you, lady. He gets a proclamation. That to me sounds hostile. Okay, there's a double standard, and we have a record 349 pages of a councilman where Trentham Law, the independent law firm, said he never touched her, he never made a sexual advance to her. Okay, yet Jane Castor says, if it were me, I would call for him to be, I would fire him. And we have Luis Vieira. I don't support you anymore, sir. If I did before, you got to come out and do a 180 and do something to redeem yourself. But you have, in my opinion, it's shameful that you're going to jump on a headline and call for a fellow councilman to resign based on this report that we all collectively here, lawyers just like you, are saying that's not enough. I'm on the record. I support true victims, and let me just remind the public and all of us, every single one of us, it's horrible for a true victim not to be believed, and it's horrible for a false victim to be believed, because you have a person on the other end who's going to be falsely accused and hurt. There's a double standard here. We have a black councilman elected by his constituents, the voters in his district, saying, "We want you to represent us." Something foundational to our country and our form of government and system. And you guys want to take them out based on this? Wow. That's something to remember about you, Luis Vieira and Joseph Citro. Seriously. There's a double standard here, folks. We have a black
Haiti, I do have a better response than, I don't know if it's a better response. You asked me a yes or no question. Is there a double standard? And I said yes, but I just want to be clear that the double standard is a colonial standard. African people are colonized people in the United States and other places where people colonize us, and so the standard is different. There's one standard for the colonizer and another standard for the colonized, and I want to make that clear. Chairman O'Malley used to tell us, teaches us that the colonial mode of production has for centuries instituted this superstructure that some people refer to as racism. But the bottom line is, there's one set of rules, one way of living, one way of life for colonizers, and a completely different set of rules and another way of life for those of us who are colonized.
Celeste, Mona, Judge Johnson, I don't know if it's a double standard or if it's more he became a thorn in her side. I agree with that, but it's a double standard nonetheless, even though what motivated her here probably, and it's a perception, we don't have hard facts to support that that's what she did, but the facts, to me, that's the impression and the perception that I am getting. I'm not saying if he would have been a good, nice black man that goes along with her agenda, he would have probably been fine, but it seems like he's calling her out. He's being like you say, a thorn in her side. Okay, so that's probably what motivated it.
But that's
that's what happened. If in fact that's what happened, I don't know that that's what happened. That's what the impression I'm getting in my intellect based on my perusal and review of the facts that we have so far. He asked too many questions and had the facts to refute a lot of the administration's falsehoods. Yes,
100% agree.
I'm saying every intelligent colonized person ought to be a thorn in the side of the colonizer. That's what we're supposed to be. Every slave should be a thorn, at least at bare minimum, a thorn. I'm thinking more like a knife in the neck, but at least a thorn in the side of the colonizer.
All right. Well, listen, I broke up my own record. We've gone on for 2 hours. And I knew this was probably going to happen. There's just too much. And we weren't even able to go into the specific allegations. Go ahead, public, read the report. I've made myself available to send it to you.
Wait, Katie, the report has a bunch of pages that are really difficult to read. Is that how it was coming across for you too?
Okay, so you know what? Yesterday when I tried to read it on my, you listen. After going through all those pages, I had to lay down somewhere. I was like, my neck hurt this morning. So I tried to read it on my iPhone and I couldn't. It kind of got garbled. So maybe try it. It didn't on my laptop. If I were you,
Okay,
I'd
okay,
make
okay.
sure that it's on a device that it doesn't get all garbly like that. But it did on my iPhone. That's for sure. Thank you
Okay,
all. You
perfect.
guys, this was super fun. Seriously, this is our contribution. Thank you guys, all of you and gals, for collaborating with me today. You all are awesome, every single one of you. And thank you for all the viewers who tuned in. Truth matters. Due process matters. I shared this at the beginning. I will leave us with this. Let's always remember, we want to be fair, seek truth to everyone, even to people that we don't like. We have to be fair. Like, what's that quote? Give the devil his due. Give credit even to the devil. In a lawsuit, the first to speak seems right until someone comes forward and cross-examines. That is the truth. Don't go with the first headline. A lot of people have died, even the worst punishment that you could get, death, that have been innocent. Okay, there's been a lot of exonerees in this state who were on death row, and we got to be careful with that. We don't want to be the one on the end of a on the bad end of a false accusation. Thank you all for joining me. Haiti Oropesa with Florida You Judge. We do have the ability to take call-ins. Everybody wanted to put forth their comment, and that's welcome as well. And thank you for doing so and engaging with us. Haiti Oropesa, along with Getulio Gonzalez Moliteri, thank you for joining. Gretchen Cawthorne Esquire, she's an attorney. Look out, search her in Google, whatever search engine, to find out about her services. Life Malcolm, recent member of the bar, and wow, he's even before he became a lawyer, he was out taking it to the streets, taking it to the system. Very proud of you, Life Malcolm. Look forward to being able to collaborate legally in the courtroom with you soon, hopefully. And Candice Colucci, you know how I feel about you and how much of a badass I think you are. Everyone have a great Saturday. Until next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Haiti. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.